Throughout the first half of 2022, something very interesting happened in California. In fact, it now appears very, very likely that Tesla will actually overtake Toyota in California within the space of, well, I'm going to tell you when I think it's going to happen. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Now, as you know, Toyota is currently lobbying the United States government to try to repeal, to try to cancel or stop or change its electric vehicle incentives. Why? Because Toyota doesn't really plan on making many EVs in the US, at least not for many years, by which time they will have been disrupted pretty much completely, in my view. Now, throughout the first 6 months of this year, something very interesting happened, which, well, no one's really talking about. The top 10 automotive brands in California for the first half of 2022 were Hyundai, Subaru, Mercedes, Kia, Nissan, Chevrolet, Honda, Ford, Tesla, and Toyota, but not in that order. In fact, Tesla is now the second largest automaker in California. It sells more cars in the state, which, by the way, is the 5th largest economy in the world, than Ford, Honda, or Chevrolet do. In fact, it's not really even close. For example, Tesla sold 91,000 vehicles. General Motors, only 53,000. It won't be long before Tesla, in fact, is able to double GM's sales within the state of California. In fact, by the end of this year, it's a good chance that Tesla will be selling 2 vehicles for every 1 GM vehicle in the state. Now, that's not EVs, by the way. That's just vehicles, period. So Tesla is doing incredibly well in California, which is the largest auto market in the United States. As Clean Technica have reported, the Tesla Model Y was the best-selling automobile in California in the first half of 2022. The Tesla Model 3 was the second best-selling, so Tesla took first and second place in California for the first 6 months of this year. In third place was the Toyota RAV4, and in fourth was the Toyota Camry. Again, another Toyota. In fifth place was the Toyota Corolla. Of course, none of those are electric cars. Now, the crazy thing is, the first and second best-selling cars in California for the first 6 months of this year were EVs, competing against a bunch of internal combustion engine vehicles. Next up was the Chevy Silverado, then the Ford F-Series, then the Honda Accord, Honda Civic, and Toyota Tacoma. The interesting thing is, of the top 10 best-selling vehicles in California, only 2 of them were EVs, and those took first and second place. Now, you can see what kind of cars Californians want, can't you? Clearly, they want electric. So what does this mean? I think it's very obvious what this means. It means that when there's more electric cars, more availability, and when also the price of them is, a little bit lower possibly as well, more of them will be sold. More disruption will happen. More of these internal combustion engine vehicles in this list, they'll disappear, or at least their sales numbers will decrease pretty dramatically. It's pretty obvious that is going to happen over the next few years. By the end of the decade, I don't think there'll be a single model of vehicle in California's top 10 best-selling vehicles that will be internal combustion. I think that's pretty safe to say, considering by the end of 2035, or by 2035, you won't be able to sell internal combustion engine vehicles in California, period. That's if anyone even wants them anyway. Now, the fact that Tesla took second place in California among automakers, period, is quite remarkable, but considering Tesla is a new brand, it's really only selling 2 cars. To be fair, the Model X and the Model S are barely even available. Tesla makes very, very few of them. And they only make EVs where they're production constrained, clearly. And the thing is, when you look at just how decisively the Model 3 and the Model Y won the model rankings, it wasn't really all that close in their respective vehicle classes, but not only in their respective vehicle classes, but just in the sales charts overall. You have to consider the reality is that this is just the beginning. Tesla will do even better. Clearly, They are taking more market share in California every single quarter. What does that mean? It's inevitable that Tesla will take over from Toyota as the number one selling brand in California. Why is it inevitable? Well, because Toyota doesn't plan on selling many EVs in America, period. In fact, what did they say recently? They said it's highly unlikely America will have any chance of hitting a 50% electric vehicle sales goal in 2030. And they have no serious plans to sell EVs within the next few years in the country of North America, within the country of the United States, or California, or Canada, or anywhere else in North America, really, for that matter. Yes, they're going to be selling some Toyota Corollas made by BYD in China. But other than that, what other cars do they have? The bZ4X, right? Well, right now, Toyota is literally buying those back. In fact, they're encouraging customers to sell them back to Toyota because even after months now, Toyota can't figure out how to keep the wheels on. It feels like I'm talking about like the Flintstones or something, but this is actually serious. After months of engineers trying to sort out this problem, they still haven't worked it out. So if you own a bZ4X, even though only a few thousand have been sold throughout the entire country, if you own one, there's a good chance you've either sold it back or it's just been sitting in your garage doing nothing for months. Because yes, very literally, the wheels won't stay on. And in my opinion, that's what's happening at Toyota. The wheels are falling off on this company. They're being disrupted in a very similar way to what Kodak was, to what Nokia was, and to what many other companies have been throughout history. So the thing is, it's insane. It's an incredible achievement that they've reached number 2 in California. But imagine if they had 4 or 5 different models. Imagine if they were selling a lot of Cybertrucks right now, which they have more pre-orders for than any other vehicle in their history. In fact, most people say they have approximately about 1.5 million pre-orders for the Cybertruck. Imagine if they had a smaller vehicle, say like a smaller SUV, which could be potentially the same sort of thing. Say like the Model 3 and the Model Y. They could have a smaller hatchback, which then they could jack up and maybe change the back of it a little bit to make it like a small SUV. That would give them 4 models, or including the Cybertruck, 5 mainstream models. And that would allow them to easily overtake Toyota. Now, of course, they are going to have more models. The only question is when. Many people say there won't be a $25,000 Tesla Model A or Model 2 or whatever you want to call it. And I agree. But that vehicle will certainly come. It just won't be priced at $25,000. It'll just be a bit more expensive than that, mostly because of the massively increasing cost of lithium. However, more cars will come from Tesla. Tesla's production capacity is increasing at an incredible rate. Their electric vehicle production capacity, importantly, is the key point here. That keeps on going up. Toyota's electric vehicle production capacity, well, it's not really doing a lot, is it? I mean, have you heard anything about what's happening with their EV production? No, you haven't, because not a lot is going on. Yes, they're making some investments now, but those investments won't pay off for a number of years, at least. Now, the incredible thing is that Tesla actually accounts for 11% of the entire auto market in California. And Elon Musk's long-term goal for Tesla was to have it account for 10% of global auto sales. So in other words, they've already achieved his goal in one country. Now they have to just do it in the rest of the world. However, let's have a look at how Tesla was going last year. 11% in the first 6 months of this year, which I believe would be higher over the past few months, which we're not including in this summary. But just consider this fact. Tesla's market share was 3.3% in California last year. So they've more than tripled their market share in 12 months in California. So who has lost the most market share in California? Well, unfortunately, Ford and General Motors have lost the most market share over the past 6 months compared to last year. Other companies losing market share include Nissan, Kia, Hyundai, Jeep, Ram, and a number of others. But if we have a look at this chart from Clean Technica, you'll see that the percentage of change in brand registrations year to date from 2022 through to June versus year to date 2011 it really paints a very interesting story of the Californian auto market, and it shows that really Tesla is the only company growing in California. Everyone else is shrinking. Genesis have increased, but they came from an almost non-existent base. So until we have a baseline level, it's not really fair to include them in this discussion, I don't think. If you have a look at these numbers here, you'll see that brand registrations for companies such as Dodge, Honda, Volkswagen, Mazda, Audi, Chevrolet, Nissan, Ram, Hyundai, Chrysler, Cadillac, and Toyota, and even Lexus are all down by 20% or more versus last year. And this shows you exactly what is going on in California. Like I said before, people in California want EVs. If you can't provide them, you're simply not going to sell as many cars. In fact, your market share will shrink at an incredible speed. This is an incredible speed right here and has to be very alarming for all of these automakers. Now, even more alarming for these other automakers who the media constantly say are just Tesla killers, who are going to make Tesla killers, are going to destroy Tesla very soon. In fact, they're still saying this stuff, right? There's still big investment banks in America claiming that GM will in fact build twice as many EVs as Tesla within 7 years, and Tesla will have a shrinking market share that will basically deteriorate to almost nothing by the end of the decade. People are really saying this stuff with a straight face. However, Tesla's big rise in the California auto market has been a long-term trend, not just a year-over-year trend, and has also contributed greatly to a steady and strong rise in their overall vehicle market share in the state. Pure electric vehicles now account for approximately 15% of new auto sales in California. Plug-in hybrids account for nearly 3% more. That brings plug-in hybrids to 18%, and fully electric vehicles to 15% for a total of 33%. And actually means that California is beating Europe in terms of their electric vehicle market share in the total auto market. Europe's share is 12% fully electric. Now, Clean Technica says that for all the hype around Europe, which is definitely deserved, California's clear leadership is often forgotten or glossed over. It is still a big dog in the fight to decarbonize and clean up transportation. And without any room for debate, that is largely because of Tesla's leadership. Much of Tesla's auto production still occurs in California, and the state buys its homemade electric cars, more than electric cars from every other brand combined. This trend isn't changing. If you think about it, Tesla has 3 times more market share this year versus last year, right? If the same thing happened next year, Tesla would have market share of 33% of the California auto market. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. That seems like a bit of an over-optimistic concept. But let's say they just added 50%. So rather than tripling, we have just a 50% increase. We're still looking at Tesla having around 17% market share in California. And that would mean that they'll be beating Toyota. Is this possible? Absolutely. Is it realistic? Definitely. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.